So today I'm going to briefly summarize reasoning and proof, and I'm going to provide one more example, and then I'm going to summarize the whole process briefly for better understanding, and then I'm going to move forward to conceptual mapping, okay, which you submitted last time as a second miscellaneous item. I explained last time, but once again, I'm going to emphasize several things in the category of reasoning and proof. Through emphasis on reasoning and proof, in the classroom, all students will recognize reasoning and proof as fundamental aspects of mathematics. Basically, in this category, you may ask, why? By evidence, a little bit informally, and sources for reasons. You may ask student this kind of questions in order to check student understanding of fundamental aspect of mathematics. And a second category may can investigate mathematical conjectures. As I said last time, this one is informed guessing, right? Compared to the other category, this is the informed information should be provided to students. Is this true always, or what kind of change happen if you are going to change the sequence or any other patterns? And counterexample is a good representative of this category. The third one, develop and evaluate mathematical argument and proof. Why does this work? Extension to general cases or problem related to generalization can be this category. And finally, select and use various type of reasoning and method of proof. In this case, deductive argument or deductive proof is going to be representative in this category. So I hope you understand better. Let me give you an example one from group 3. You can see. Group 3 developed this kind of questions. Take a look at it. I hope you would like to see problem clearly, but anyway, this is the big picture. 수열 A는 아래와 같이 기납적 정의를 만족한다. 단 N은 1, 2, 3, A2죠. A1은 equal to A1 plus 1 equal to 이게 마이너스 저도 확실치가 않네. 그룹 3 이거 뭐예요? an plus 1 equal to an plus n square예요? 오케이. an plus 1 equal to an plus n square. 뒤에는 뭐죠 이게? 기억나요? What is this part?
여기 아래에서 스타가 성립한다 이렇게.
오케이. I see. 스타가 있는 거예요. 그 다음 뭐예요? 왜 이렇게 희미하게 되고 있지? 민지와 지혜는 아래와 같이 서로 다른 방법으로 수열 AN의 일반항을 구했다. 잘못된 풀이가 누구의 것인지 찾은 후 잘못된 부분을 가리게 고쳐보자. 그죠? 상당히 여러분이 I think you have never seen before probably this kind of problem, right? In the assessment. So kind of newly developed from my perspective. So as you can see, 민재의 풀이 to the left hand side, and then blah blah blah, and then 지혜의 풀이 to the right hand side. Basically, the question is 누구의 것인지 잘못된 풀이가 누구의 것인지 찾은 후 잘못된 부분을 고쳐보자라는 거예요. 이해하겠죠, 그죠? After looking at the two different kind of strategy to solve the same problem, after looking at two different strategies, right? And then they're supposed to understand what is going to be wrong, one of them, right? And then they're supposed to correct, right? The wrong part, right? Make sense? That's the problem. According to the reasoning and proof, there are 4 categories I explained, right? Reasoning and recognize fundamental aspect of mathematics, or investigate mathematical conjecture, or mathematical arguments, or deductive reasoning. Let's start your ping pong then. I want to see your opinion. Last time, we did. Please access ping pong. Show your opinion. 늦게 오신 분 있어요? 네. 늦게 오신 분? (32) Mr. Left. should be 12 more 10 which access 새로운 게 자, 빨리 들어오세요. 다 들어왔어요? Do you have any problem to access ping pong? We still left 7. How are you? 다 했어요? Did you finish to access ping pong? Okay, then register. So you can select one of them and let's discuss together. Any? 자, 결정하세요, 빨리. (32) Mr. Left. 10, I think. 정시가 빨리 들어와. 문제는 이거야. 리즈닝 풀베된 두 학생의 솔루션을 보여주고 잘못된 것을 찾고 바르게 고치는 문제예요. So do you think which category should be fundamental in reasoning proof? Yes. Let's see. 1 and 2. 일부러 관심 갖기 위해서 일부러 다른 거 누르면 안 돼요. 한번 발표해 보겠다고 해서 let's say one then first. What is the one? 이런 상황이죠 지금, 그죠? 다음 시간에 연문 했었어요. 연문 했었고. 혜윤이 했어요 한번? 발표했었어요?
네, 예전에 했었어요.
남상은
예,
발표했었어요?
딴거 안 했나?
뽕을 알죠 어제 발표 안 했네요.
네.
해보십시오. 왜 이게 why did you select one?
저 두 가지 방식이 다 기본적으로 그 증명에 대해서 설명해 놓은 거 없었기 때문에 직관적으로 A를 골랐습니다.
3조 대답해 보세요. 3조 그룹 3 방금 그 대답에 대해서 How can you respond to the answer? Just previous answers.
방금 발표하신 분이 이제 저 인재 풀이랑 지혜 풀이 둘 다가 이제 증명이기 때문에 증명의 중요성 뭐 이런 거를 깨닫다고 하셨는데 저희 조 같은 경우 저가 사원을 고른 이유가 교수님께서 저 셀렉트 유즈 저거 할 때 두 가지 이상의 증명법을 주고 문제에서 직접 어떤 게 더 좋은지 고르라고 이런 식으로 선택하는 거를 예시를 들어주셔서 저 문제 같은 경우에는 인재의 풀이도 있고 지혜의 풀이도 있기 때문에 두 가지 방법의 증명법 중에 자신이 더 맞는 걸 찾는 그런 문제라서 저희가 4번으로 골랐습니다.
Do you understand the justification from group 3, right?
예,
Do you have any other comments on that? Or
그 3조 의견에 동의합니다.
what about then? Let's hear then group 2. No, not group 2. Number 2. You select number 2. 이영기 학생 발표했어요? 네, why don't you tell us why did you select 2? Right here.
그냥 문제에서 두 가지의 그 과정이 있는데 좀 수학적인 추측들을 이렇게 그 학생이 한번 자신이 만들어보고 조사해보는 게 맞지 않나.
So how can you respond to this answer? Group 3.
2번이 성립하려면 학생들이 가설을 직접 세워야 되는데 이 문제 같은 경우는 이미 다 주어져 있는 상황에서 그것이 맞나 틀리나만 평가하면 되기 때문이라고 생각합니다. 그러니까 직접 가설을 세울 필요가 없는 문제라고 생각합니다.
Do you want to make a comment or something? Let's hear the most frequency. 3. Let's see. I think most of them. 엄다혜 학생 발표했어요?
네.
했고 그다음에 조연희 학생 발표했었어요? 안 한 것 같은데 그죠? 네, 안 했어요. 네, 발표 한번 해주십시오. 왜 3번을 선택했나요?
여기서 주어진 증명
How can you respond? Group 3.
맞는지 틀리는지 확인해야 된다는 그것 자체가 맞는 것과 틀리는 거를 셀렉트해야 된다고 생각하고요. 3번이 성립하려면 디벨롭도 하고 이벨리에이트도 해야 되는데 저 문제에서는 이제 저희가 디벨롭이라는 과정을 거치지 않았기 때문에 저희가 3번을 고르지 않았었습니다.
Make sense to you, or do you have any other comment? What about the group other 3? 고영경 학생 발표했어요? 네. 발표 안 하신 분들한테 기회를 드리려고 그러는데요. 성수는 발표했었죠. 성수 한번 해보실래요?
그냥 한 번씩 다 발표하면 좋을 것 같아서 제가 이렇게 체크하는 겁니다. 성수 못하는.
네, 생각하기로는 저도 디벨롭이 좀 마음에 걸리긴 했지만 그래서 4번하고 3번하고 많이 고민을 했거든요. 너무 직관적으로 봤을 때 4번의 셀렉트와 3번의 이벨리에이트가 너무 강력하게 이 문제에서는 느껴져서 그 둘을 섞어놓으면 오히려 제일 정답일 것 같은데 그중에 고르다가 전 4번의 유즈가 좀 3번 디벨롭보다 좀 더 부족하다고 생각을 하거든요. 디벨롭은 오히려 저거의 잘못된 것을 바르게 고쳐보자라는 생각이 들어서 저거를 디벨롭적인 측면에서 바라보면은 잘못된 부분조차도 발전시켜서 뭐 만들어 보자라는 식으로 저는 생각을 해봤고요. 유즈는 글쎄 저 증명을 어떻게 사용을 해서 그 다음 뭐 어떤 다음 어플리케이션 같은 내용이 있어야지 유즈라는 말을 쓸 수 있지 않을까 싶습니다.
그룹 3?
한 사람이 할 필요
없어요. 여러 사람이 하는 게 되겠죠. I think that's a good point from Sung-soo, right? So how can you respond? You always need to respond,
Always there is
something in the between, but you still, selected number 4, so that's why you need to respond to Sung-soo's question.
저희 조가 4번을 고를 때는요. 두 개. 저희가 4번을 고를 때 먼저 이 문제를 학생들이 어떻게 풀지에 대해서 생각을 해봤어요. 사실 이걸 만들 때. 근데 학생들이 단순히 민재풀이를 쭉 읽어보고 지풀이를 쭉 읽어본다고 해서 답을 쉽게 내릴 수는 없다고 생각을 했어요. 그런 과정을 거치려면 먼저 민재풀이가 어떻게 이루어지는지를 생각을 천천히 해봐야 되고 지혜풀이 역시도 어떻게 되는지를 생각을 해봐야 될 거란 말이에요. 아니면은 뭐 물론 민재풀이와 지혜풀이를 비교해 보면서 어떤 점이 다른지를 찾아볼 수도 있겠지만 그런 과정에서 저희는 여러 가지 타입을 사용한다고 생각을 했어요. 그런 맥락에서. 그래서 유즈 역시 저희가 3번을 고를 때 그 유즈 역시 타당하다고 생각을 했고요. Develop and Evaluate이라고 했을 때 잘못된 풀이가 누구인 것인지를 먼저 찾는 활동이고 거기서 잘못된 부분만 고치면 되기 때문에 저희는 이게 왜 이렇게 되는 이 3번 아까 설명하실 때 이게 왜 이렇게 될까에 대한 질문이 이 3번을 대표하는 어떤 문제라고 하셨는데 그런 것보다는 이게 왜 이렇게 될까를 생각해 보기보다는 잘못된 부분을 고치면 되기 때문에 저희는 디벨롭이나 이벨루에이트 하는 쪽보다는 셀렉트 유저 쪽에 좀 더 가깝다고 생각을 했어요.
Well, I think both of them at least make sense to me. So, but one of the thing I think you should understand in the third category, develop and evaluate mathematical argument and prove mean just you should show the whole process in this category. Develop mean from the beginning to the end, right? You should develop mathematical arguments. One of the problem in this problem, right? If you are going to categorize this problem into the third one of the problem they are not supposed to develop. That's going to be one problem. Another thing I think the various type of reasoning mean various type of proof or reasoning is not that easy, right? Even though the fourth category should be like this, the best example in the fourth category like this. You need to solve this problem in two different ways. Please solve this problem. That kind of question is probably the best fit problem in the fourth category, right? In that case, students are supposed to what? If you're going to provide that kind of problem from time to time, students solve the same method. They are not using the different reasoning, different proof. Do you understand? When I grade many problems, if I'm going to ask that question, students solve two different ways from their perspective. But from my perspective, they are the same method. Okay? So they mean various type of reasoning is not that simple. Right? So, but in this case, do you think, group 3, do you think this is the different type of reasoning? Let me ask you first. This is two different type of reasoning? True? What do you think? First of all, you need to decide that one. Okay? In the same problem, what is the two different type of reasoning or two different type of proof? Do you think then this is two different type of reasoning? What do you think? Group 3? What do you think? I'm just asking, right? In the same problem, so one definition should be clarified. So when you ask any question, for instance, to student, the same problem, please solve this problem in two different ways. In that case, what is the meaning of in two different ways from your perspective? That is the meaning, various type of reasoning, okay? If you're going to change just the reasoning order, it's not going to be two different type of reasoning, right? Make sense? If you're going to change just number, that is the almost same idea, right? But I'm asking, this is a two different type of reasoning. Is it a difficult question? Group 3? Any opinion? What do you think? 성수야, 너는 어떻게 생각해, 이거를? 이게 서로 다른 리즈닝이라고 생각해, 안 해?
저도 어떻게 정말
그냥 your opinion.
아이디어 그 자체는 비슷하다고 생각을 하거든요.
네.
뭐 어찌됐든 저 옆에 n제곱 같은 것을
음흠.
더해주는 거를 설명하는 부분에 있어서만
음흠.
차이가 있을 뿐이고, 그리고 그 n제곱을 찾을 때
음흠.
민재인가?
네.
민재 같은 경우는 저 이제 일일이 해가지고 하는 거였다면, 제 같은 경우는 아예 일반항을 통해서 한 번에 개차수열의 개념으로 가서 한 거기 때문에
네.
결과적으로 같은 아이디어가 아닐까
음흠.
싶습니다.
What about the group 3 then? 자, 그럼 선랑 why don't you raise your hand? 이게 서로 다른 리즈닝이라고 생각하는 사람 손 들어보세요. 나는 아니 그는 이건 옳고 그런 게 없어요. Basically, I'm asking whether it's correct or not. I'm just wondering. If you are going to ask me, I'm going to tell you this is two different type of reasoning from my perspective. I'm kind of more generous. If I'm going to grade this problem, if students solve, if I'm going to ask, after giving this problem, please solve this problem two different type of reasoning. If I'm going to ask that question, students should in this way. Probably I'm going to give him or her full credit because I'm thinking maybe this is maybe enough. That's why what in your mind is very important issue. Because if these two type of reasoning, if you are going to categorize two different type of reasoning, you should select this option. But if you're not going to see the differences between these two reasoning, I think you should select this one, right? So that's why depending on your perspective, it's going to be categorized. But the two different method is not that easy from time to time. For instance, in the case of division, last time I explained, right? There are two different type of reasoning. One is sharing, right? The other is repeated subtraction, right? For instance, 12 divided by 3. So if you're going to 3 continuously subtracted, how many times? 4 times, right? But I'm going to use the sharing, then what is it? I have 12 candy, but I'm going to distribute 3 persons. How many candy each person should get? That's going to be sharing, right? This is obviously two different type of reasoning, right? Repeated subtraction, sharing model. So therefore, you should clarify by yourself what is in the same problem solving, what is the two different type of reasoning? Okay, then these two categories should be clarified if you are going to define. But it's really depending on person's perspective. Because from time to time, it's almost the same, right? But it's different. But what is the meaning of differences between two reasoning? That's going to be issue. I'm not going to tell you this is the answer, okay? I'm going to tell you you need to clarify what kind of perspective do you have in terms of different type of reasoning. Because I'm thinking this is much more inductive way, okay? But this is much more close to, even though almost the same idea, but I'm thinking this is much more deductive process, much more embedded. That's why I can see this is two different type of reasoning. But you may disagree with that because, as Songs pointed out, but this is almost same idea, right? But it's really depending on your perspective on that. What is the meaning of two different type of reasoning on the same problem? Now it's clarified to differentiate 3 and 4. Any question? Because Songsu selected one option, that's why I selected intentionally the other option, okay? That's why I'm explaining. You need to see two different perspectives on the same problem. Any other question related to this one? Any question? I already unrolled this all the other problem, even though you don't have enough time, to review all the problem from group 3. I just reviewed only 2, so you can take a look at the other 2 by yourself due to the time issue. I'm going to briefly summarize what we did during the last couple of times. What does it mean to do mathematics? Basically, we have covered mathematical process in doing mathematics. So reasoning and proof, problem solving, communication, connection, representation. We have focused on 4 out of 5 process. We have focused on 4 of them, except communication, right? So I hope you better understand what is the meaning of that. I'm going to briefly summarize all of them once again. So basically, reasoning and proof, you should understand the 4 different kind of components, right? I just explained. So you need to take a look at 4 different type of reasoning. Also, you can take a look at connection. I just want to remind you of connection. Recognize use connection among mathematical ideas. I emphasize connecting ideas in algebra and geometry. New and old ideas are representative, right? It's just refresh your mind. What we have learned, okay? Reasoning and proof, I just explained, right? There are 4 different kind of reasoning process, reasoning category. Now we are going to focus on connection. Connection, once again, so recognize use connection among mathematical ideas, understand how mathematical ideas interconnect, and build one another to produce a coherent whole. I emphasize many times what is the meaning of coherent whole, right? So basically, the same mathematical structure in 7 different settings. Also, the last one, recognize apply mathematics in context outside of mathematics, other subjects area and disciplines such as science and social science, medicine and commerce are going to be a good example in this category. So another process is representation, right? Representation, you should understand create and use representation part, right? To organize records, communicate mathematical ideas. I emphasize both process and product. Also naive and conventional representation in this category. The second one, in the case of representation, select, apply, and translate among mathematical representation to solve problem. I emphasize translate in this category, right? But before doing translate, you should develop multiple representation, obviously, right? That's one of the important issue, and strength and weakness should be considered in this category. Use representation to model and interpret physical and social mathematical phenomena. As you can see, I emphasize the meaning of model in this category. Model means mathematical representation and relationship. Use a variable to represent unknown is a good example. Also, devising representations such as equation, table, and graphs that capture mathematical relationship are going to be a good example in this category. The last process we have covered during the last couple of weeks, problem solving. So as I said, build a new mathematical knowledge through problem solving means that a student needs to extend their knowledge. Also, you need to differentiate what is the problem, what is exercise, right? Also, solve problem that arise in mathematics in other contexts. It should be emphasized the word meaning of arise, right? This is worthwhile in their work and experiences. Arise is not neither apply nor model, as I emphasized. Also, the third category, in the case of problem solving, apply and adapt a variety of appropriate strategies to solve problems. You should understand first, this adapt meanings include different strategy, right, in order to solve any problem. Finally, monitor and reflect on the process of mathematical problem solving, but this is categorized, often called metacognition. So this is a very high level of problem solving. Okay. I hope you understand better, all this category, 5 process. Do you have any question regarding the 5 process? Based on this understanding, I hope you better prepare to make mathematical essay problem because you now see a lot of different kind of mathematical process, right? Reasoning through representation, connection, communication, right? Problem solving. So what kind of problem can you make? Based on this process, you can ask question more specifically and more precisely, right? Based on your experience. Any question? Any question? You do remember, I think I emphasize two important things, right, before developing any assessment item. One thing is mathematical process. In other words, what kind of question you should ask, right, in order to develop any assessment item. That's going to be one important thing, right? That's why I emphasized mathematical process based on what? NCTM standard, right? The 5 process. Now we are going to shift our focus to what? Conceptual mapping. In other words, in order to develop any assessment item, you should see any mathematical concept in a big picture. So otherwise, you may assess student understanding into the marginalized area, right? It's not going to be a good idea, right? Because you emphasize many important mathematical concepts, but all of a sudden, while you are assessing student understanding, maybe small area of problem, right? That's going to be problematic. You should select any problem which are going to be representative in terms of understanding all parts, right? That's going to be a good problem. Make sense to you? That's why conceptual mapping plays an important role to assess what is the general understanding, what is the most important concept, which one is more important than the other. This kind of thing can be decided based on conceptual mapping. So in developing assessment item, as I said, conceptual mapping, also key concept in a structure, also important mathematical concept to be selected and tested by using different activity. Different activity means obviously mathematical process, okay? We have investigate. So this is the problematic. In other words, in order to assess or evaluate student understanding of mathematics, as a teacher, you should select, right? You cannot evaluate all the problem, right? For instance, how can you evaluate integration or differentiation? You should select, right? So what problem should be selected? That's going to be problematic, right? Otherwise, assessment is not going to be fair to all students. That's going to be issue, right? Therefore, once again, generally important concept rather than specifically important one should be emphasized, right? Make sense to you? That's going to be issue. Also, conceptual mapping can provide mathematical structure as well as a key concept under each structure. This is why conceptual mapping plays an important role in terms of developing your assessment item, right? You can, after looking at the conceptual mapping, you can see, this kind of structure, but which one are key concept, which one is the sub-concept, right? After analyzing those kind of things, you can much more easily access what kind of problems should be made to evaluate student understanding, for instance, integration, differentiation, or any other mathematical topics. So it can give an insight into the connection among mathematical ideas. That's why you can see clearly whole mathematical structure in any concept. Also, it can generate idea about different level of assessment difficulty, right? So that's why conceptual mapping play an important role. I think I just summarize what you did. 그리고 1, differentiation, right? You did. Group 2, metric and system of linear equation. Group 3, sequence. Group 4, quadratic curve. Group 5, differentiation. Group 6, definite integral. Group 7, quadratic curve. Group 8, limits of function. Group 9, logarithm. Group 10, differentiation. So, as you can see, the differentiation 3 group are worked on. That's why I take a look at first, differentiation. The second one, quadratic curve. There are 2 groups worked on quadratic curve. Therefore, I want to take a look at the second one, quadratic curve together. Okay. Once again, conceptual mapping can be defined. I'm going to define this way: a graphic model to help a student understand and organize mathematical knowledge of a topic. In other words, so one of the issues while you're teaching any mathematical content, you may experience some of the students kind of study hard, but they are not going to get a good credit in the assessment. Why is that? Because probably miscommunication between you and your students, right? Because I'm emphasizing something, but student cannot realize what is the important. During the last couple of weeks, I learned something, but all of a sudden, what is the most important part? What am I going to do after learning a lot of content? That's going to be an issue. But if you're going to provide a good graphic model it's going to be help students understand and organize mathematical knowledge of topic, right? Because from the teacher's perspective, this kind of concept is the most important, right? That's going to be helpful. As I said, allowing students to understand key idea in their connection, right? This is one advantage of using conceptual mapping and helping students integrate new concept with an older concept. If you're going to provide, conceptual mapping, probably students can connect, right? What they're learning with what they already learned. So encouraging students to generate both a new idea and connection, expand their understanding. A lot of advantage you can develop. But as I said last time, how to develop a conceptual mapping. One of the things in that any mathematical concept, you should define what is the main idea, and then determine what is the key concept, and finish it with a structure by connecting concept with relationship and developing a level of hierarchy. I'm going to try evaluate your conceptual mapping in terms of this kind of standard. For instance, coherent use of level of hierarchy and connection between mathematical concept. What about clear idea, clear key concept? Did you provide clearly what is the key concept? Also, how to group idea and their interaction, right? In other words, their category and their connection is appropriate. Otherwise, it's going to be problematic, right? Anyway, that's why I'm trying to at least 4 standard I use. Key idea and level of hierarchy and connection and group idea. Okay, this is going to be, I'm going to evaluate your conceptual mapping. Then let's take a look at group 5, group 1 and 5 and 10, differentiation. I'm going to give you at least 5 minutes. Take a look at 3 of them. Differentiation developed by group 1, 5, and 10. Based on this 4 standard, which was key idea, level of hierarchy, connection, and group idea. Why don't you evaluate by yourself? So you need to select one of them. Group 1 or group 5 or group 10 side in the best. And then why did you select? Okay? After spending 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to give you select one of them. And then you need to justify your answer by yourself. I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes. If you need more time, I'm going to give you more time. Take a look at 3 of them. 첫 번째 있는 게 그룹 1이에요. 그룹 1 컨셉추얼 매핑이고요. 두 번째 있는 게 그룹 5일 거예요. 그룹 10 있는 거 잘못했구나. 죄송합니다. 제가 여기 잘못됐네요. 두 번째가 그룹 10이에요. 세 번째가 그룹 5고요. 이해하시겠죠? 순서가 원래 그룹 1, 5, 10으로 했어야 되는데 두 번째가 그룹 10이에요. 그러니까 세 번째가 그룹 5고요. 첫 번째는 그룹 1이 맞아요.
키 아이디어하고 그룹 아이디어 얼마나 잘 전달하는 것 같아요. 오거나이즈니까 랩 아이디어에서 오거나이제이션이 되게 중요해요. 대충대충 하는 얘기도 막 깔리잖아요. 이런 사람들 애들한테 보는 건 더 크게 돼요. 자, justify your answer를 해야 돼요. 그러니까 무조건 교수님 이 그림이 그냥 마음에 들어서 선택해서 이러면 안 돼요. 시간이 필요하면 더 줄 테니까 충분히 좀 고민해 보세요. 대답하지 마시고.
기태정 왔어요? 기태정 맞죠? 신일선 학생 왔어요? 임준영? 자, 아까 제가 말씀드렸듯이 다음 주 화요일 날은 중간고사고요. 목요일 날은 수업이 없습니다. 이해하시겠죠? 중간고사 시험 잘 치르세요. 잘 준비해서.
근데 이거는 의무감성은 모임에 나야
자, 충분히 살폈나요? 자, 뭐 각 그룹별로 보면 this is the group 1, right? One of the interesting, in group 1, as you can see right here, 미분의 역사가 있다라는 거예요, 그죠? You can take a look at history of, differentiation. Also, right here, 광학 도구의 발견도 한번 여러분들 유심히 한번 볼 필요가 있고요. 그 다음에 여러 가지 함수의 미분법을 여기 바로 미분 바로 밑으로 캐테고라이즈 했다는 것도 제가 보기엔 좀 인트레스팅 하고요. 근데 이제 여기서는 그 유심히 봐야 될 건 미분 가능성을 여기 놔뒀어요. 미분 다음에 바로 이해하겠죠? 그룹 this is 그룹 1이 특징이에요. 근데 그룹 5 이게 그룹 10인가요? 그룹 5를 보면은요 어떤 특징이 있어요? 여기 부정적분이 있다는 것도 특징이에요. 그죠? 앞에 그룹은 부정적분이 없었어요. 그죠? 그래서 이런 것도 좀 유심히 볼 필요가 있고요. 그 다음 미분 가능성을 여기 했는데 요 로리 정리와 평균값 정리하고 이렇게 연결을 시켰어요. 그죠? 미분 가능성. 그 다음에 요 그룹은 특별히 뭐예요? 그래프에서의 미분을 포함시켰어요. 그러니까 개념화를 좀 생각해 보세요. 무조건 이게 좋다 저게 좋다 그 정도로 심플리파이해서 앤서를 하지 말고 여기는 그래프에서의 미분이 다른 조에는 없는 거예요. 이해하겠죠? 그러니까 그것들을 좀 유심히 보시고요. 그 다음에 요 미분 가능성을 이렇게 했다는 거. 바로 요 그러니까 큰 캐테고리가 뭐예요? 미분을 요 5가지 컨트롤로 본 거예요. 이 그룹은. 그래프, 부정적분, 그죠? 다른 조에는 부정적분 포함 안 시켰죠. 미분 가능성, 순간 변화율 도함수. 그리고 이 그룹은 마찬가지로 복잡하게 했는데요. 이 그룹의 특징은 뭐냐면은 재밌게도 함수의 극한을 포함시켜서 아까 미분 가능성을 바로 다른 조는 큰 타이틀로 했죠. 미분의 바로 큰 핵심적인 컨셉으로 봤는데 이 그룹은 어떻게 했어요? 함수의 극한 중에서도 요 밑으로 봤다는 게 연속의 밑으로 봤다는 게 재밌는 현상이에요. 그러니까 현상학적으로 여러분들 좀 깊이 있게 이해할 필요가 있어요. 우리가 과연 제가 이 세 가지를 다 보여주면 꼭 강조하고 싶은 게 그거예요. 여러분들 in your mind, what kind of mathematical structure를 가지고 있느냐가 굉장히 중요한 이슈가 되는 거예요. 왜 그러냐면은 이걸 바탕으로 어떻게 하는 거예요? 여러분들 수업 시간에 강조하기 때문에 그렇게 되는 거예요. 그렇기 때문에 학생들은 그 구조를 따라갈 수밖에 없는 게 이제 이슈가 되는 거예요. That's why I'm emphasizing conceptual mapping. As you can see, 3 group, 3 different structure, right? That means 3 emphasis. That's going to be problematic. 그래서 이거는 또 실생활에 활용도 아주 중요한 토픽이에요. 이 그룹에서는. 그죠? 다른 그룹은 애플리케이션을 또 포함을 안 시켰잖아요. 그죠? 그러니까 이런 어떤 아주 다양한 특징들을 제가 그냥 여러분들 이해를 돕기 위해서 하고요. 그 다음 여러 가지 함수의 미분법도 여기 있어요. 아까 그 조하고 비교하면은 여기서는 이렇게 포함되어 있죠. 여러 가지 함수의 미분법은. 또 함수 아래 또 이렇게 잡았단 말이에요. 그죠? 이해하겠죠? 디퍼런스를. 여기서는 그리고 여러 가지 함수의 미분법은 여기 났죠. 바로 미분 또 밑으로. 그죠? 그러니까 조금씩 다 이렇게 장단점이 있어요. 여러분들이 보시는 바와 같이. 좀 생각이 다를 수도 있고. 자, 그래서 why don't you select one of them? If you cannot decide, you can decide just 4. Okay? Number 1 is group 1. Number 2 is group 5. Number 3 is group 10. Once again, this is not group 1. This is group 5. This is group 10. If you cannot decide, or if you want to draw better compared to the other 3, you can decide maybe group number 4. Okay? Why don't you decide? And then I want to hear your opinion. As I said, many questions in this class, there is no answer which is correct or incorrect, okay? I just want to hear your opinion. And then let's take a look at ping pong. Let's start. So you can select 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is group 1. From your perspective, group 1 is best described. And 2 is group 5. 3 is group 10. 4 means you cannot decide, or you want maybe a better picture or better conceptual mapping. I want to hear your opinion, and let's take a look at it together. What about the others' opinion? You can select 1 through 4. 늦게 오신 분들 빨리 핑퐁 액세스하셔서 선택하세요. 자, list 10 left. 다시 읽겠습니다. One, two, three, 10, 16, 17, 4. 자기 그룹권 자기가 눌렀어요. 최소한 자기 그룹권 자기가 눌러야 돼요. I just want to hear only 5 minutes left. I want to hear just one representative and then discuss next time. Okay? That's group 1 from the bottom. Okay, 이윤석. Why did you select? Just briefly, your rationale. Why did you select group 1? Let's hear first, and then let's discuss next time. Yeah.
Carefully listen.
There's opinion.
다른보다 이분에 대해서 어떻게 탄생했는지 전자에 대해서도 언급을 하고 이번에 정리에 대해서도 얘기를 했고 이분 방법
이제 I'm going to ask one quick question. So 미분의 역사가 그만큼 중요한 것 같아요. 다른 토픽들하고 같이 이렇게 할 만큼. 이 그룹에서 특징 미분의 역사가 굉장히 중요한 토픽이라는 거예요. 그리고 다른 키 컨셉이라는 거죠. Do you agree with that, by the way?
이게 좀 뭐지? 학생은 무슨 과정에서는 어떻게까지 준비는 잘 모르겠지만 대학교에서
In this group, there are 5 key concepts, right? So 여러 함수의 미분법, 변화율, 미분 가능성, 미분의 응용, 미분의 역사, 이게 굉장히 중요하다는 거죠. What about group 2? 서영락? 서영락? 발표했었어요?
아니요.
이제 발표 좀 해주십시오.
저는 그룹 5께 간단하긴 하지만 저는 미분 가능성이라는 것을 미분에서 상당히 중요하게 다뤄야 된다고 생각해서 그룹 5를 골랐습니다.
미분 가능성 뭐라고 다시 한번 이야기해 주실래요? 제가 못 들었어요.
미분 가능성을 미분이라는 것을 공부함에 있어서 좀 큰 토픽으로 다뤄야 된다고 생각해서
그러니까
그룹 5를 골랐습니다.
영락 학생, 이 미분 가능성이 하나의 키 컨셉으로 가는 게 굉장히 중요하다라고 보신 거죠?
예.
예, 알겠습니다. 고맙습니다. What about group 3 then? Okay. 발음부터니까 김명주 학생? 김명주, 예. 발표했지만은 발표해 주시고. 그룹 10을 선택하신 것 같은데 왜 그룹 10을 선택했죠? 그룹 10 이건가요? 맞아요.
저가 책이어가지고
진짜예요? 네, 그럼 다시 선택하도록 하겠습니다. 편견이 들어가니까 이게 안 돼요. 10조 아닌 사람 해야죠. 송화성? 쉽죠요 혹시? 예, 한번 이야기해 보세요. 잘못 눌렀어요? 그럼 뭘 원했어요?
원래는 두 번째
그룹 5?
이게 쉽잖아요.
이게 뭐예요? 네, 다시 한번 좀 다른 친구들한테 좀 설명을 해주십시오. Why don't you explain to us? Why did you select group 10?
네, 다른 이게 매핑을 하는 게 일단은 저희가 궁극적으로는 논술 문제를 출제하기 위해서 일단은 매핑을 해보는 거라고 생각했을 때 세계 역사가 저희가 문제를 낼 만한 내용인가라는 생각이 들었고요. 아까 교수님이 언급해주신 그 현재 극한으로 시작해서 미분 가능성까지 이어가는 부분에서 오히려 이 부분으로 일단 나아가야 학생들이 미분 가능성을 그냥 머리로만 그냥 손으로만 그냥 쓰는 걸로 이렇게 하면 미분 가능하다 그렇지만 부부적으로 이해하지 않게끔 나아갈 수 있을 것 같아서 골랐고요. 다른 거 5조 거는 응용 관련된 내용을 좀 더 쉬워하는 것 같아서 특히 미분하고 응용이 잘 되는 부분이 교육 과정에도 나오지만 속도, 가속도 부분인 것 같은데 그 부분을 잘 활용하면 오히려 더 좋은 문제도 나올 수 있을 것 같아서 그 부분이 다 들어있는 식조로
이해하시겠죠, 그죠? 그룹 10은 I think one of the most important thing connection, but in group 10, limit of function, right, should be related to the differentiation. That's why he wanted decide group 10s. What about the number 4? How many? Only 2? 박정훈 학생? Why did you explain to us your decision? Why did you select number 4? I want to hear it, and then next time you're going to discuss in depth. But anyway, let's hear it first.
네, 저는 일단 핑퐁을 올릴 때 항상 저의 시각이 아닌 학생의 시각으로 그걸로 많이 노력을 해요. 그런데 이 세 가지 조가 각자의 다 장점, 단점이 있지만 아무래도 학생들이 수준이 상중하가 있다 했을 때 각자 그 수준에 따른 좋은 매핑이 하나씩 있다 생각해요. 그러니까 1조는 좀 상 쪽에 있는 학생은 좋을 것 같고 그 다음에 다음 게 뭐죠? 이게 이제 하 쪽. 그 다음에 다음 거가 이제 중 쪽 스타일 좋을 것 같아요. 그래서 그런 생각 때문에 답을 했습니다.
굉장한 분석을 해주네요. 한번 요걸 바탕으로 다음 시간에 한번 we'll have a discussion time.